Pathmark is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmark.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Valerie Bartlett from Tracer, Senior Vice President of Growth with them. How are you doing today, Valerie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Awesome to have had you on here with us today. Do appreciate you having been on today's episode here at Pathmark Presents.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Great. Hey, well, let's kick it off, right? I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Tracer is all about. So in your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Tracer helps businesses move from data to answers really quickly. The way to think about it is a lot of businesses are data rich, but insight poor. And the process to get answers and insights is really arduous, technically intensive, and potentially really human hours intensive as well. So Tracer, in the world of AI, automates a lot of those processes so that people can do better marketing, measurement, and any end application of those data sets to make them more valuable.
Definitely important, right? And in today's world, the more we go, the more data that we have, the better calculations, marketing that we can do, right? So awesome.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're learning, right? It's a lot about not just the data that you're getting in. There's plenty of data for businesses and marketers like myself, but the ability to actually make that data meaningful and actionable is pretty tough. And so Tracer helps solve for that in big ways.
Definitely. All right. So then what would you, so that way our listeners could get a good understanding there of Tracer, then what would you say then is that key problem that you guys like to solve for clients?
I'd say it's really, the hardest part and best part is that we're really an end-to-end solution that makes it easy to get data in, centralize into a single place, then more importantly, transform it, standardize it, and normalize it so that you can do things like measurement. It's the foundation for a lot of AI applications for our partners. It's the foundation of kind of like holistic dashboards to get a good understanding of marketing investments and where to spend your next dollar.
Okay, great to hear that. And so is there a certain vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP that Tracer likes to go for?
Really, it's anybody with data that is living in different places that's having a hard time answering basic or advanced business questions. We have clients that are all over in different verticals, whether that's healthcare, pharma, finance, CPG, retail, QSR. So I don't really think there's any limitation for our ICP, which, again, it's like it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Definitely. Okay, great. Awesome to hear that from you. So then how would somebody usually find out about Tracer? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Right now, actually, we have word of mouth. Most of our customers actually come from our existing clients sharing the glory and goodness about what Tracer is doing for them internally, which is fantastic. In terms of our acquisition strategy, it's paid ads, paid testimonials, I would say. Our website obviously does a lot for itself, and then we have a pretty robust events marketing strategy as well.
Okay, great to hear that. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you. They can always check you out at tracer.tech. What role does the website then play for client acquisition, Valerie?
It plays a marginal role today, but it should play a much more significant role in the coming few weeks and months. We're making significant investments to really up-level the website because it's pretty basic, right? It's high level understanding and some verbiage, but we really need to focus on by role, by industry, and then explainer videos, pricing, all the key components of meeting the buyers where they're at in their journey and exploring what Tracer can do for them.
Okay, great to hear that. So is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend for our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, I would say that put yourself in the shoes of the buyer and consistently think about that experience, whether it's B2B or B2C. It's really important to think about what are you thinking about as you evaluate this decision, whether it's a car, whether it's, new skincare, or whether that's software solutions for your business. Think about you as a marketer, you as a salesperson, you driving growth and demand for your product in the market. What are the things and key value propositions, and how do you really simplify that for the end user or end buyer to make sure that the conversion rates and the stickiness of what you're trying to bring to market is really there?
Yeah, well, okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Valerie, some tips. And well, let's switch gears a little bit then, Valerie, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the SVP of growth there for Tracer. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Well, it's funny because I read this book. It's called Do the Hard Things First. You think that get the easy things that you do within a couple minutes and get them out of the way, but really focus and prioritize your day. There's only so many hours in a day that you can do the key and critical tasks. And so as a leader, what I like to do is think of mission critical and what's the amount of effort to get that and execute that task. And so I always like to start with highest priority, lowest lift, and then kind of use those two vectors to determine how to best optimize my time.
Okay, great to hear that. Next then, so then how would you stay up to date, or is there a channel that you like to go with to stay up to date with all the marketing news, trends, strategies out there in the world today?
I mean, there's a bevy of insights, whether that's, there's Ad Age, there's, I think Digiday is really interesting. There's a lot of digital marketing channels that I follow and that I'm a part of. I think LinkedIn has really been a crazy repository because the more interested I am, I think their algorithms are actually pretty good. It's making me pretty relevant content, honestly. And I think that the recency of the information on LinkedIn is relatively immediate, right? And so those are my core sources. I would also say that networking, I'm consistently investing in making the most of all the conferences I go to and soaking up all that content and making sure that I'm continuing to network with the best and the brightest in order to bring the best solutions to the market.
Okay, perfect. Great to hear that. Next, let's jump into our next section then here, Valerie, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Sure.
All right, perfect. First off then, Valerie, what is the last book that you read?
The last book that I read was Your Next 5 Moves.
Okay, great read there for our listeners. Next up then is, if there be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Oh man, the laundry list is pretty heavy. I would probably say the ability to truly democratize data. And by that, I mean, there is a plethora of information available to us as marketers that I feel like gets leveraged at 50% capacity, right? So no matter how much automation and AI and all these twinkling lights and flashing stars come and say hey, everybody's still mining lead lists manually through Excel for the most part. And so I think that there's a huge opportunity there as a marketer to continuously fix that cycle of data to action.
Well, okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Next up then is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
I literally just talked about that. I would say. I actually think that the repetitive tasks that I could automate, probably just keeping me out of Excel. There's so many times I'm in Excel docs and sheets, and it's again, it's actually so funny because the reason that I love representing Tracer in market is because we automate a lot of that work where humans in Excel, it's low value work. It's important. You have to do that in order to analyze the data and make decisions from it. But if I could automate anything in my day-to-day, it's getting out of those spreadsheets.
Definitely, right? And I mean, there's a lot of tasks, I'm sure, with Tracer, right? All that data of information. So that's important, right? The more you focus on that and less on Excel, that would be some great tools there. Awesome. Yeah. And, well, lastly, Valerie, I mean, you have tons of experience already in the marketing world, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
I would say that there's plenty of times I've been a little bit more conservative in my approach with testing and learning. In that the moment that I really started to see success for my partners and my clients and the work that we were doing was when we got a little bit more fearless, right, with the work that we were doing. So my remit before I came over to Tracer was I was growing a team at TikTok, and I would see that the brands and the businesses that were willing to take the leap of faith and to be early adopters of emerging technology, I would say, like, whatever reservations you have, don't let that hold you back from being able to truly scale and grow.
Okay, some great advice there, not just for yourself, Valerie, but for all our listeners. And well, we are coming to the end of the show here, Valerie, but before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. So say someone forgets everything about the interview. What should be that one thing they should remember about Tracer?
Uh, get yourself out of Excel. No, I would actually say that the one thing they should remember about Tracer is that data is critical to your strategy, and invest in a solution that helps you make that data actionable for growth.
There you guys heard it. Valerie, thank you so much for sharing that with us. You could always check them out at tracer.tech. And well, to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at PathMonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Valerie.
Thanks, Ernesto.